Hello guys, this is the first video on this channel. My name is Val, and you might have seen me before with another channel that I have. You might not have ever seen me before. Welcome to my channel, and yeah, this channel is, why did I create this channel? I wanted to create a safe space where I could kind of like express myself more, be a little bit more vulnerable. I feel like with my other channel, which I won't shout out because I want it to be natural. Like if you naturally find it, perfect. If you don't, you're here. Okay. So I wanted it to, in my other channel, I've definitely tried to be vulnerable and talk about, you know, stuff in myself and my identity and things like that. But obviously, that's not what the channel is for. My other channel is more for vlogs and anything. So I kind of wanted to create this channel for it to be more like sit down talking videos, to be more vulnerable, to be more open, to talk more about my identity. So this is what the channel is for. So if you haven't never met me before, this is your first impression of me. My name is Val, and should I just give my credentials? Like we're on like job interview here, like second year student, university, navigating through life. Obviously, we can start small, like 2026 new year. I've definitely stepped into my zone, and I've tried to not have this mentality of like new year, new me, but more like improvement, kind of like doing things that I feel like I didn't do last year, and kind of like recognize that like I'm improving instead of like kind of like constantly being harsh on myself. I will give you guys an example. For example, like I told myself that I want to be somebody who steps out more, who goes out more, and is more comfortable doing that. And the first step to it is little things like solo dates. Like I've never done solo dates in my life, and I've constantly told myself solo dates, solo dates, solo dates, and I just never actually followed through in 2025. Within the first week of 2026, guess who went on her first solo date alone? Me. The solo date was I went to a bakery shop, a cafe downtown Toronto, and it was so fun. Like, sorry guys for that, but another thing that I also want to mention that you guys are gonna see a lot is our interruptions in the middle of my videos. That's also part of my first impression. Like, you guys are just gonna see interruptions and people walk in the middle of my videos, and that's just how it is. That's how it's always been. But to continue from where I left off, I was saying that it was really fun and it was like a great experience for me because I was like, I feel like I've always wanted to do things with people, having friends and things like that. And usually like when my friends are not available or like just last second not being able to go, I would just not do it, and I would just kind of like starve myself of the activity or just like of getting like building some experience. So obviously it was definitely fun for me. I journaled, I wrote some things, some prayers to God, and it was just a great time for me. It was great. Obviously since then I haven't had the time, not because I'm scared or I don't want to. I haven't had the actual time because school started, to go on another solo date, but I will definitely look forward to it. That's one of my fears that I stepped forward to and one of the improvements that I have made. Another thing is definitely like getting rest. I feel like one thing about me is um, rest doesn't find me. I don't like to stop. I just like to be constantly harsh on myself. It's obviously a negative relationship and obviously like the environment I was built around. But I just, we need to step up and stop blaming the environment, start like picking up, you know, and just start doing the improvements that we want to see in other people, or just like trying to be the best versions of myself. And that's something I started doing. I started taking rests and started acknowledging the efforts that I'm making. Sometimes it's just really hard, but sometimes it's just what you need. 2026 so far has been what? It's been a pretty good, like it's just began, but it's been pretty good, pretty sad, obviously. In terms of like what I just said, like getting rest and trying not to, like, to be harsh on yourself and acknowledge the effort you're making. For track, for me, that's been like really difficult, because obviously track is very like numbers, rankings, status, how fast you are every second. So obviously, it's just been really hard for me to take a step back and acknowledge, like, good job, you've done that effort. And there's also constant comparison, so it's obviously being in that environment is really hard. And obviously as somebody who has had no track background is obviously even more hard for me. Being in an environment where like almost everybody around you has like 2-3 years of experience over you, and just not feeling like you can kind of like talk to somebody about it. It's just it's just a bit hard. So that's the part of me where I feel like the improvement is, instead of like, not saying that the improvement is lacking, but it's taking a bit more time. It's just hard because every time I find myself not reaching a goal that I've set for myself in terms of track, I go back to this mentality of like, you're not good enough, or you're just not, you're just not good enough to reach it. And that's kind of like a negative mentality that I have of myself, which obviously I need to fix. But again, um, being in these circumstances, it's been a bit tough for me, but I've been trying my best. Something that I've also picked up on is journaling. I write poetry, so obviously, like, writing poetry a lot, like, helps me in things, but I've also, like, acknowledged and told myself that writing poetry does not equal journaling. Writing poetry for me is like a very um, subtle way of expressing my feelings. Like, you're expressing your feelings, but you're really giving the reader the opportunity to kind of like unfold that story. You're giving the reader the opportunity to make that story in their head. You know what I mean? And I've also stepped into another type of poetry where I use less intent words with intensity, and I kind of like let the reader guide their imagination. Words like insane, um, controlling, consuming, destroy. All these words are words that I kind of like removed a little bit out of my poetry. Obviously, when and so that's something I've said before, when I feel like we're speaking about topics like of feminism, racism, uh, politics, things like that. I feel like these words are just needed. We don't want to desensitize or like sugarcoat or anything. I feel like for these really hard topics, hard words are needed. Obviously, the word is supposed to be hard to the subject, the topic is supposed to be hard to digest. I don't think these are topics where we should desensitize. However, when speaking about like other things like just poetry prompts or things like that, obviously letting the reader guide their imagination is something that I strongly believe in, and that's a side of poetry that I've been exploring even more. So obviously, like, I acknowledge within myself that poetry does not equal journaling as much as I want it to be. For some people it can be, but for me I don't think it is, because again, subtle way of expressing your feelings. So you're not really saying how you feel. So I've actually started journaling, the right way of journaling, writing my feelings, saying how I feel, things like that. And so far, it's been good. I don't do it every day. It's not an everyday thing. It's more like weekly, where I write how I feel. I think it helps me better. It helps me see how I feel. It helps me find solutions to things that sometimes might not be that big of a deal. Sometimes, obviously, our minds like to escalate things, but writing it down and just like acknowledging, like, this is how I feel, and this is how I want to go about it. Is something for me that I feel like has really helped, and this also has helped me take some time to step back from situations where I feel like my anger is taking control over me, and actually acknowledge the situation and come back when I'm calm. Something that I did a lot in 2025 was react out of situations with my anger immediately. By immediately, I don't mean within the next minute or within the next hour. I mean within the next day or two, I would react, but my anger wouldn't really settle down. So I have obviously I usually, for situations, I try to give myself time. I try to think about it. I try to write about it. I try to go over it in my head multiple times before I actually face a situation, because I feel like acting, like, sometimes when you act out of calm instead of anger, you can preserve relationships, you can preserve friendships, you can preserve bonds with your family. You can also preserve yourself mentally, inside, physically. You do yourself a really big service. Um, so yeah, these are the things I've been kind of like exploring in 2026. 2026 is not going to be easy, all right? But it's just going to be better. And obviously, I'm somebody with a lot of hobbies and I do a lot of things. I've tried to take up on new things, like new hobbies. And one of the things I really, really want to do is learn how to play an instrument. I've been dying to learn how to play guitar. I've been talking about it. I've been saying, I want to play guitar. I want to start playing guitar. That's a bit embarrassing, but I want to start singing a little bit. But I don't want to become a musician, chill. But I want to start singing and I want to start playing guitar. Um, and that's something I've been talking about it and saying so bad. I really, really want to take up on it. So that's definitely a hobby that I will look into, explore, and obviously do down the line. Obviously, we need to actually purchase the guitar. But and I want it to be a smart and good investment. I don't want to do it out of impulsivity. You know, like in 2026, a lot of things, or when a new year comes, a lot of people, like for example, if you look at the gyms, they will be flooded, and then within the next week they're empty. We don't want to do things out of impulsivity, or at least I don't want to do things out of impulsivity. I want to be smart about it. I want to plan it, and I want it to be. I don't want it to be something that I like the idea of. Like I like the idea of playing an instrument and singing. I want it to be something I actually want to do. I want it to bother me to the point where, you know what? I tell myself I'm just gonna purchase a guitar, and I'm actually just gonna start singing it. You know, because liking the idea of something and then not following through, like now you got a like $600 guitar and just sitting there like, but yeah. And something else, uh, like towards like the end of 2025, in terms of makeup, I really settled down. Like I really stopped doing my makeup. It was honestly a part of me was because I really wanted to feel as beautiful with makeup than without. But towards the end of 2025, I started taking up with makeup again and just doing my face. And I did this face only for the video. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I don't have places to be. It's currently what, 7 p.m. I just want it for the video. But I think I look cute. I like it. I like the way this makeup looks. I don't know how long I've been talking, but honestly, like, I just wanted to give like an overview of things that I've been doing in 2026, how I've been, you know, a first impression of who I am. And if you like this channel and if you want to stay, or if you don't like it, you want to go, you know. But another interruption. Sorry, guys. One last thing that I wanted to mention before ending this video, because everything that I've mentioned are kind of like surface level topics of things that we'll be going in depth into in the next few videos or in deeper videos if you're interested to ever stay longer. But one thing that I did also want to mention is another interruption. Sorry. Okay, I'll end this video. This is the last interruption. One thing I wanted to mention was obviously uncertainty. I think I've also mentioned it to some of my friends that like being uncertain about things, about outcomes, about where I'm going, about what I'm doing, about how things are going to be bothers me so much. I have to find a solution. I have to know what's coming next. And I feel like that's also also like linked to my fear of trusting time, trusting the process as well. One example that I will give you guys is um, simple things like if I don't know something, like if I don't know a grade, for example, that I'm getting, my mind will jump to the worst possible conclusion because at least that gives me peace that I know what's coming next instead of sitting in uncertainty, like just not knowing anything at all. So my mind would rather sit in negativity and the worst outcome possible rather than, you know, like not knowing what's coming next. And with track, that's also really affecting me in track too because before I even run, like my mind will go to the negative side, like, okay, you're gonna run this time today because I'd rather tell myself or know within myself that I'm running a time that I'm not satisfied with rather than not knowing what I'm running at all. And it was so bad in like last year, it was just so bad in 2025. I have worked over it much more, much better. Um, it's I'm still trying to improve it much more. It's been better for certain things, but for track, I'm still working towards improving it. Some like little things like just like for before track, like not knowing the workout before I step onto the track, it just bothers me. Like, you know, so I will just try to imagine the worst possible workout because at least, you know, I know the workout. It's just it was so at a point it was just it was so mind consuming. Like it was just so bad on me. It was just bad. It was just horrible. Like it would honestly bother my mind 24/7. Like it was just so bad. Like I really prayed over it and I really tried to work over it because this can really affect you in the long term, because things that you believe are things that you're gonna act upon. So obviously, I'm trying my best to work over. I'm trying to improve it, but obviously these are like surface level topics that I will be addressing obviously down the line in my other videos. I will try to post once a week, twice a week. I will try to be super consistent because I love talking. As you guys can tell, I love talking. But if you like this video and you like the first impression of me and how many interruptions I had in this video, maybe 3 or 4, you can subscribe, you can like this video, you can even leave a comment. But honestly, like, I really just want to be more open and vulnerable to when it comes to the type of person I am, my identity, and you know, things people might not know of me. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another lifetime.